Welcome to Episode 6 from Stavius, Volume 1 from the Chronicles of Mearth trilogy. Chapter 2 concludes as we learn what became of Stephen and Mark.
Somewhere underground. Mearth.
Stephen opened his eyes and studied his surroundings. They were in a dark, musty room carved out of solid rock. There were iron bars along the open side with a flickering light providing the only illumination from around the corner. "Oh, Mars, I'm in a dungeon," Stephen muttered to himself. "I'm still here. This is so cool," he shouted a minute later. "Mark, keep it quiet," he hissed to himself. "I'm sorry, man, but I thought it was all going to be over when the Soul Reaper grabbed us," Mark whispered. "There's something seriously wrong with you, Mark," Stephen sighed. "You're happy to be locked in a jail cell in a dungeon. We need to talk later." Yeah, admitted Mark. "So how are we going to get out of here?" "I don't know," Stephen replied. Then he walked over to the grate, shook it, and shouted, "Hey, let me out!" A teenage boy, who looked to be about Mark's age, appeared from around the corner and walked over to the bars. "Well, look at the heroes sent to save the world. You're a little late, aren't you?" he sniggered. Stephen/Mark stared at him in disbelief before Stephen said,
I have no idea what you're talking about, but unlock this gate and let us out of here right now, you toad.
"Let yourselves out," answered the boy with a mean smile. "I don't have a key." Then he fished an apple out from under his cloak, thrust it through the bars, and asked, "Want an apple?" "No, I don't want an apple," screamed Stephen. "I want you to go find someone with a key." "I have no idea who would have a key to that door, or even if one exists," answered the boy. "But here comes Mr. Urtesh. If anyone knows where to find a key, it would be him." The boy walked away as an older man came around the corner. "What's all the noise down here, Janus?" Urtesh grumbled. Then he saw Stephen in the cell and added, "Oh, I see. Our missing colleagues have finally arrived. You two should know that I value punctuality and that this is far beyond acceptable tardiness. Now, come along." Urtish turned and began walking away until Stephen called out, "Can you please let us out, Urtish?" Urtish paused and turned to look at him. "The name is Mr. Urtish, young man, and didn't Janus explain that there is no key? You should let yourselves out. Just grasp the handle, turn it, and push the door open." As Stephen opened the unlocked door, he saw Janus grin and heard Urtish mutter, "Add diminished capacity to the shortcomings of this candidate," as he walked away. Mark thought to Stephen, "I don't like that kid." Stephen thought back, "I don't much care for either one of them," and followed the man and the boy out of the room. They walked down a small, rough-hewn rock hallway before entering the largest room Stephen had ever seen. They were not in a dungeon after all. They were underground in a cave. This room had a high, domed ceiling and could comfortably seat 100 or more people. There were various frames, pieces of wood, and broken cutouts of people lying around on the floor, as if the place had been used for some crazy performance and then hastily abandoned. Urtish and Janus ignored all this as Urtish walked over to a small card table with a couple of folding chairs set up in a corner, and Janus wandered outside. There were boxes filled with papers scattered on the floor near the makeshift desk. Urtish sat in a chair behind a table, pulled out a form, and waved Stephen into a folding chair across from him. "Host name," he grunted without looking up. Excuse me?" asked Stephen. "What is your name, young man?" repeated Urtish. Stephen, sir," answered Stephen. "Age?" 17. "Delayed development," muttered Urtish as he scribbled on the form. "Rate your magical abilities on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being none and 10 being an all-powerful wizard." I guess a 5?" said Stephen with an unsure tone. Urtish raised his eyes and glared at him. "Okay, maybe a 2, admitted Stephen. "But I did some amazing work today," he quickly added. "That was your visitor," said Urtish as he wrote and muttered, "diminished magical ability." "And what is your visitor's name?" "Excuse me, what do you mean by my visitor's name?" asked Stephen. "Oh, Do try to keep up, grouched Urtish. You are conjoined with someone from another world. His mind enters yours while he is asleep and dreaming in his world. He has no memories of this place whenever he awakens in his world, but remembers everything whenever his mind returns here. So, what is the name of the voice in your head? Or you can just let him speak, and perhaps we'll get through this faster. Mark was thinking that this portion of his dream was not as much fun as the part with the unicorns, dragons, and trolls. He wanted to correct Mr. Urtish about his ability to remember his dreams, but merely replied, "My name is Mark, sir." "And how old are you, Mark?" "13. "Age mismatch," Urtish sighed as he continued to write on the form. "And what do you want to use as your combined name?" "Combined name?" "Yes, Staven is the name of the host. Mark is the name of the visitor. What would you like us to call the two of you when you are together?" Urtish rolled his eyes. It was apparent that he had gone through this process many times in the past without this much trouble. People typically combine their two names to create a different name for their conjoined entity. That way, we have a name for the host, one for the visitor, and one for the combination. "So what are your names?" asked Mark. "None of your business. All you need to know is that my conjoined name is Mr. Urtish. Now, would you rather be called Stark or Marvin?" "Neither one," shouted Mark. "Marvin is even worse than Marius." "And who is Marius?" asked Urtish with raised eyebrows. "Marius is my real name," answered Mark. "Well, why didn't you say so?" grumbled Urtish as he fished around for an eraser. He began correcting the form and asked, "So, how about Stavius?" "Awesome!" exclaimed Mark. "That sounds like a Roman gladiator." "What's a Roman gladiator?" asked Staven. "A warrior who was fed to the lions for entertainment," answered Urtish with a wry smile. "It's perfect."
I'm Gregory Chumley. Learn more about the Chronicles of Mearth and purchase books on Amazon or at www.cholmonco.com/Mearth. Cholmonco Storyteller books are an exciting innovation in reading. Each chapter contains a QR code which you can scan with your smartphone to listen to streaming audio of me telling you the story while you read.